of the Farmville Board of Commissioners. We appreciate you taking time out, particularly on a night like tonight, to come and join us and be involved in this local governing process. Tonight, we're pleased to have with us Reverend Lester Gay. Reverend Gay is the pastor of Community Fellowship Ministries here in Farmville, and he's going to come and lead us in our invocation. Will you all rise, please? After that, I'll ask you to join with us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I want to thank God for our Mayor Evan, to his cabinet, the commissioners, to all the staff members. We thank God for each and every one of them. Let's pray. Eternal God, our Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, I bow before your presence to say, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debt as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into no temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Father, I just want to say I thank you for this opportunity. We thank you, God, for loving us. Thank you for your grace, and we thank you for your mercy. We ask you, God, to be upon these young people, these people that are making decisions for the town. We ask that, God, that you would help them, give them the understanding that they need. And we thank you right now, Father, for all that you do. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Again, it's my privilege to welcome you here to the board meeting of the Farmville Board of Commissioners here in August. And I might remind you, if you hadn't been here before, if you would like to follow along with our proceedings here this evening, you can pick up an agenda package at the back door. If you did, then you'll see that we're at citizen presentations now, and that's where you as citizens can speak to this board about anything that you deem important. Right now, we ask you to sign up before the meeting, at least by 6:20, and if so, then we'll be able to call on you. We do have two that have signed up, but I want to recognize a young man at the back there, Tyler Cash.
Right.
Tyler's here working on his. Tyler, you tell us, what are you working on? Some kind of badge? Okay. Good to have you, young man. Let's give him a hand. Okay, then I have John Spruill from George Street, 3609 George, that wants to speak to us about the South Side. Hey, John.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, Town Managers, guests. I rise to speak on behalf of the constituents on the South Side. I've been coming to this meeting for a long time, ever since my mama enthused me to come. And I don't know if each individual, I'm gonna exclude you, Mr. Mayor, because I know you do a lot for the South Side. But I know some of you commissioners can't penetrate your heart and tell me what you've done for the South Side in the past. But I'm looking for this is a new year coming up, and I'm looking for something new to happen to the South Side. Beautifications. We got 2 plants, used to be North State and USI, sitting there vacant. But none of the commissioners have dropped the plow to try to get something done with those 2 buildings. Plus the beautification of the South Side. I know it takes a village to raise a kid, but it don't take a village to keep pollution and poverty from hitting Because we have houses that are rented from various ones that's not taking care of their tenants. I see tops on top of houses that are owned by people that could afford to go there and fix that property up. I don't know the situation, but I'm just letting you know, we need some attention on the south side. So if you touch your heart tonight on this meeting and guide yourself to say, what have I done for the south side in the past? And I mean this from my heart. I come to this meeting every time it's available, and I see what's going on. We just holding a slot. You're not trying to improve the south side, to my knowledge. But if you touch your heart and abide with the Lord to guide you to do something for the south side, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your comments. Next, we have Bobby Joyner.
Mayor Evans, Commissioners, David, Chief Green. Again, my name is Bobby Joyner. I moved back here 2 years ago with the sole purpose of making this a better community to live in. We have implemented things to do the H.B. Suggs Park, which is going good, and I want to thank everyone for your support on that. We have to somehow join together as a city. And one of the things that the H.B. Suggs organization is doing, which has never been done before, I'm told, we have the downbeats from Farmville Central. We have the old school singers from the H.B. Suggs High School. They both were singing and playing at the same time, but were not allowed to come together for some stupid reason to make it happen. I got together with one of the downbeats, and we've implemented a program which is called Hands Across the Tracks. And August 31st at the Arts Center, I'm bringing the two groups together. They're going to perform some songs together and, of course, individually. So there'll be posters like this all over town tomorrow to support the effort. And if everyone would find time to join us to support this effort, we can really eliminate a lot of those stupid ideas that's been here for when I grew up. So I want to thank you, and again, support us on August 31st. The city will never be the same after that because nothing like this has ever happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All right, that's all that's signed up. However, we do have a special presentation here this evening, and I want to recognize our Commissioner, Alma Hobbs, for this presentation.
Is it okay if I do it from here?
Yes, yes.
On July 12th, 2019, I attended Salvation Praise Church to accept a certificate on behalf of the town of Farmville, especially for Mayor Evans. And I would like for Mayor Evans to stand, and I'm going to present this to him tonight. And it was a very, very inspirational activity. The certificate reads, "You Matter, the Early Risers Morning Prayer Ministry." This certificate of appreciation is awarded to the town of Farmville, praying with a purpose, breaking barriers, and seeking the Lord for the nation. We want you to know that you are constantly in our prayers. Signed by Brenda Edwards on July 12th, 2019.
Thank you. I'll see that the town manager gets this and locates it in our hallway where it's appropriate. Thank you, Alan, for going. Okay, that takes care of the citizen presentation. Now we move on to town manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the board, I have actually several comments tonight. We've got some events coming up. Got a big event tomorrow night, National Night Out, which is going to be held right across the street on the corner of Walnut and Belcher, the lot there near the dog. And that is beginning at 6 p.m. There's going to be food, games, giveaways, all sorts of activities. It's time to meet your neighbor, come out and have a good time. And we've got several churches that are sponsoring that. Of course, the Farmville Police Department is involved in some national program. This is our local effort. As I said, that starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We also have a combined Market on Main and Music on Main event, which is on July 13th, which is a week from tomorrow. I'm sorry, August. August 13th, which is a week from tomorrow. And the Market on Main, I think runs from 4 to 8. And of course, that's down at the Main Museum. And then the Music on Main starts at, I believe, 6, Jay. And Steve Owens, the Summertime Band, is going to be the musical entertainment. So they've combined forces, and so hopefully some folks will go to the market and then make their way up the street for Music on Main on the 13th. Just a couple other things. There is an effort that some of you may have seen something about in the newspaper or in the Reflector, and also on TV recently. There's a big economic development effort that's going on in the county. It's actually been going on for several months. It's a combined effort of all the towns in Pitt County, in City of Greenville, Pitt Development Corporation, Greenville Utilities Commission, and a lot of private industry. And just trying to sort of focus everyone's attention on job creation, retention, bringing more prosperity to the whole county. And I've been attending these meetings for several months, and there is going to be a formal ask as far as the town participating in it in a formal way. I'm an ex officio member of the board as just a manager, but there's also interest in having some other individuals involved. Commissioner Hobbs and I have talked about her interest in economic development, and she has expressed an interest in attending some of these meetings too. So you'll hear more and more about it, and I'm planning to have the chairman of that board come to a future meeting and explain it in more detail. I just wanted to mention that to you. Like I said, there was an event last week that got some media attention. You may have seen something about. One other item, or actually a couple other items. One other item I want to mention, then I'll turn it over to someone else. Back during the budget workshop, there was a discussion of a splash pad. I know there's a lot of interest in that in the community. And the Recreation Department started looking into it back in the spring. And because of some other projects and some personnel changes, it lost a little momentum. In addition, it was going to be originally part of a larger plan for the park, and that plan has been delayed. So I wanted to let everyone know that we're still working on the pad. We're trying to work through some issues, and we couldn't get everything together where it could be open this season. So our goal is obviously to have this facility open to the public in time for next year's season. So I wanted to let you know that we haven't forgotten it. It is a priority, and we're planning for it now. So I just want to let everyone know that, because there are there's been a lot of people interested in expressing comments about it and support for it. The last thing I just want to recognize Major Spencer. He's got a new staff person to introduce to you.
Mayor, Commissioners, how are y'all? I just want to take a couple minutes to introduce Katie Tedderton. She is our new part-time animal control officer. She actually comes with some experience from Greenville Police Department. She worked for Animal Protective Services there, and she's just going to give you a brief rundown.
Okay.
I'm Katie Tedderton. As he said, I came from Greenville PD. I worked for about 8 months with Animal Protective Services. I also have experience working with different rescue groups, particularly Bear Garden Rescue Group. So I look forward to kind of bringing a little bit of that experience here. But I'm grateful to be with the town. Y'all have shown me such love over the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to becoming a part of the town.
Okay, welcome, Dave. Welcome. Thank you.
I was just going to mention one other thing. I know it's been talked about of upgrading the animal shelter. That has not been put down by the wayside. We're actually talking with Mark Cannon's son. He is actually in the process of becoming an Eagle Scout, and he actually wants to improve our animal shelter for his Eagle Scout project. So that's got to go before the Eagle Scout board, and once it's approved, and then he'll do a fundraiser to purchase some materials, and then he'll go from there. But I just want to let y'all know that. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Katie is actually, she's only been employed here for about a week and a half, and she's already working on a animal control grant.
Oh, okay.
So we look forward to that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Gary. All right, is that it on your comments?
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
I think I can help you, David. There's a distinct difference between a splash pad and a splash park. And I think that some people are taking liberties with that and saying that this board has discussed a splash park. I know that is not correct because I'm the one, along with Mayor Evans, that brought the idea of a splash pad to Farmville some time ago. It is a splash pad, not a splash park. A splash park is located in Kinston, and it's got the Women of the World that started that. That's a splash park. The splash pad is what you see at Atlantic Beach out there beside their miniature golf. There is a distinct difference. Do not fall for the trap that we're gonna build a multi-million-dollar splash park. Let the truth be known. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Moore, for clearing that up for us. All right, financial report is the next on there, and this is, we have a copy of that here, and we can ask our finance director, Ms. Johnson, if we have any questions. Feel free to present them to her. All right, moving on to item G, changes, additions, and deletions to the agenda.
Mayor Evans, I have one. I would like to make a recommendation that we table item 8, 9, and 10 for further consideration before action.
That's the sale of property, right? 8?
Correct.
Okay. David, do you have any,
Those are the ones I was looking at.
all right.
Two of those properties are actually adjacent to property the town already owns. It may be something we might want to use for a future discussion.
Okay. So Commissioner Hobbs has suggested, or made a motion, I guess, that you,
Yes.
that we delete these 3 items. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of this, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. So 8, 9, and 10 will be delayed until further notice. That leaves us with 5 through 7, and then 11 and 12. 11. Okay, yeah, 11. Someone make a motion that we accept this as the agenda for tonight.
Make a motion, we approve the amended agenda.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Dixon. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the agenda, approving it, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. So we have our agenda set for this evening. Now we're moving into the public hearing comments, and I want to recognize Paul Ellis for a structure for demolition.
Good afternoon, Mayor Commissioners. The property we're talking about tonight is located at 3886 Brooks Drive. It's Pitt County parcel number 24490. I scheduled an inspection in May at that property. No one came to assist with the inspection, so I did it from the outside of the house. So these pictures that you will see really do not do it justice. The house is in really bad shape. There's lots of broken windows. There's on the south side of the house, there's a complete window casing totally out of the house. There's nothing there. It's just a big hole. There's lots of wood rot. The floor, you can't see it in the pictures, but looking through the window, I could see that one of the rooms kind of in the middle there, there's no floor at all, just dirt. It's nothing at all. The back wall, you can actually see that in some of these pictures, is rotted, and it has actually shifted away from the foundation, so it looks like it's just ready to collapse on the back side of that house. The front is a brick house. Looking at the front, you wouldn't think it's that bad, but it's pretty bad. It needs a roof, needs electrical, plumbing upgrades. In my opinion, the house is not worth salvaging. Our ordinance says that if it's going to exceed 65% of the value of the property to make the repairs, then we can issue an order to just tear the house down. And that's what I think we should do, because according to Opus, the house is worth $56,000. 65% of that would be $36,400. There's no way they could bring that house back for $36,500. So that's probably going to be the direction we take on this, is just to issue an order to remove the house. Or we will, of course, it'll still be within, they have 90 days to do so before we do anything. At this point, I'm asking permission to move forward with the demolition process.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ellis? I went out and looked at it today. Your pictures were very kind to it.
Did you walk around?
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, it gets worse on the backside.
It's bad shape. Yeah. Bad shape. All right, thank you, Paul. Okay, this is a public hearing, and that means that you can address this board about this possibility that Mr. Ellis has brought up, and that is demolition of his house on Brooks Drive, 3886 Brooks Drive. So I declare the public hearing to be open at this time. So if anyone who'd like to speak to this, please do so. If not, I'll declare the public hearing to be closed. And board, you've seen the pictures, you've heard the presentation. No one is contesting it, so what is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve the request and demolition of this structure.
Okay. Heard the motion by Commissioner Boyle that we approve the demolition of this house on Brooks Drive. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next public hearing is on rezoning issue, property located at Wallace Street, 4475 Wallace Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The item before you this evening is a rezoning for parcel number 78578. This parcel is located at 4475 Wallace Street. The rezoning before you this evening is proposed to rezone the property from industrial to office and institutional. As you recall, back at your June the 3rd meeting, we come before you with Burns & McDonnell, and they were looking at placing a easement for a gas gate project on this property. At that time, there was some concerns among the board members regarding the future buildability of this property if the easement were to be granted, primarily based off of the setbacks that existed in the ordinance at the time. At the time that we brought this to you in June, the property, as I mentioned, was zoned industrial, which had a 50-foot setback requirement off of both Wallace and Field Street. So if the easement were to be granted, it was going to make it very difficult for the property to be developed in the future based off of those setback requirements. What we did following that meeting, we talked with Burns & McDonnell, as well as working with Commissioner Dixon. We discussed some possible scenarios to maybe work it out so that we could, make this property one that could be developed in the future for, what the town would like to see, while also being able to accommodate Burns & McDonnell and Piedmont Natural Gas in placing the easement. Through those discussions, what I've proposed would be to rezone this property from industrial to office and institutional. The big difference there being the setback requirements. The setback requirements in an office and institutional district would be reduced, to cut it in half. They would go from 50 foot in an industrial district to just 25 feet in an O&I. Additionally, the O&I district allows for a greater variety of uses on the lot. Existing with the industrial lot, you were pretty well locked into, primarily all industrial uses. An additional issue with that was that the lot size that we're looking at would not conform with the current ordinance requirements for the size of an industrial lot. By rezoning this property from industrial to O&I, again, we would be able to look at a greater variety of uses, but it also would serve as a transition from the industrial district, more heavy uses there in the area, to the more residentially based uses that are located on the parcels going back behind the property. So that's why we have proposed at this point to rezone this property from existing industrial to O&I. We took this before the planning board at their July meeting, and they recommended to the commissioners for the property to be rezoned to O&I. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take those at this time.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
What's this going to do to my hopes and dreams of putting the Boys and Girls Club there in the future?
I'm not going to do anything to the hopes and dreams on that. If anything, we can certainly, I think at this point, it would help in terms of the setback, because the biggest issue we were running into with this was going to be setbacks, because we had such, a hefty setback requirement in the industrial district. One of the things that we looked at, and we have some maps available this evening, I believe there's one in your packet as well, that shows the available buildability area on this lot with the reduced setbacks. So, with having the 20 or adjusting to just the 25-foot setbacks, this would allow for a lot more potential uses on this property than if it were to remain zoned industrial.
Just to be clear, that Boys and Girls Club moving on there is a John Moore thing. This board is not staffed it in any way, form, shape, or fashion. It's just something that I've looked at and worked with Faison, North Carolina on, and the former mayor from there, and the possibilities of how that could be done, and that is a real good location. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else have any questions for Justin? All right, Justin, just have a seat, maybe we'll. All right, you heard the recommendation by our planning director. This is a public hearing, and so I'll declare the public hearing to be open at this time, and you can come and address this board about this particular project. Anybody? If not, I'll go ahead and declare the public hearing to be closed then. And board, you've heard the presentation. I don't know that you have any recommendations. I think we did have some questions. I don't know whether it was you, Commissioner Elks, that had them. Commissioner Moore, maybe you've already asked you a question. That from last time. Has it been answered for you?
Yes, sir, I think.
Mine has. I'd like to thank Commissioner Dixon for taking the lead on this, because we tabled it last time, and a lot of work has gone in there, and rather than having 5 hands stir the pot, we chose one, and I think Commissioner Dixon working with Justin on this and bringing us to this point, and I think not only giving it to working with you folks and what the benefit for the town of Farmville down the road, it would mean an awful lot, and I thank you for your consideration and working with Commissioner Dixon and him keeping us informed about it.
Okay.
My questions have been answered, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Dixon, you have any comments you want to make since your name has been?
No, I appreciate Commissioner Moore's comments, but really Justin has done very good here and the folks he's been working with, and I think it's going to end up good for the town of Farmville, both for the zoning and from the perspective of Piedmont being able to expand their services to us.
Okay. All right. So I guess that's it. Is there a motion then that we approve this rezoning? That would allow it?
Motion that we approve it.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Shackelford. Commissioner Ellis, did you have a?
No, sir, I was just going,
Make a motion.
yeah, we're good.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Shackelford. Any discussion on this? All those in favor of this, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Now we're down to, that concludes the public hearings. We're down to the items for consent. And there's 2 items, and one of them, of course, is just approving the minutes. The other one is to reschedule the September meeting, which would be on Labor Day, calendar-wise, to the next day, the 3rd. Yeah, I don't know whether anyone has a problem with that or not, but I accept the motion to approve these items by consent?
I'll make a motion, we approve these items by consent.
Okay. The motion by Commissioner Elks that they be approved by consent. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. All right. Number 5, items for discussion and decision is consideration of granting an easement for Piedmont Natural Gas. I thought that's what we just did. Is that something else? Okay.
Just stay where I was.
Yeah.
So the second part to this, and this is what actually come before this board at the June 3rd meeting. This would be the actual easement agreement, granting the easement to Piedmont Natural Gas on the property there at Wallace Street. What I did place before you, we received after your packets were distributed last week. There has been an update to the total compensation agreement for the easement. I placed that at your table before the start of tonight's meeting. The only changes to this point with the agreement that was brought before you at the June meeting would be the compensation agreement, and that has changed. The initial compensation offered was $2,800. The new figure for compensation is $12,500.
Okay. Y'all like that?
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Any questions for Justin? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this proposal for the easement at a cost of $12,500 to be paid to the town by Piedmont Natural Gas.
Okay. It's a pretty complete motion. Everybody understand it? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Okay. Justin. All right.
Hey, here tonight from Piedmont?
Yeah, I think these people are, yeah.
We have representatives here from Burns and McDonald this evening.
Okay, but nobody from Piedmont. Okay, I just had some questions I wanted to ask about some future stuff, but I'll get with you about that.
Okay, we ready to move on? All right, next is item 6, and this is where the principals of the schools here in Farmville make a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Evans and
Hey.
Commissioners. First off, I'm excited to formally introduce and announce my partner, Mr. Jeremiah Miller, who will be the principal at the middle school. And one of the first items of business when we were talking are all of the community events and the community school feel that we really work hard and collaborate with you on. So our first event coming up is our Farmville Schools Cookout. So that's for all 3 schools in our attendance area. This would be our 3rd year doing it. We've explained to Mr. Miller just how special and unique this is, having all of our schools and having elementary teachers who know high school teachers' names, but getting to break bread and have that fellowship and talking. We've also been some trailblazers because the Ayden-Grifton district has heard about it. They have posed the same to their commissioners, and they are now another feeder pattern who is starting that tradition in their community. So we're coming before you tonight, for lack of a better, I told them we're here for meat money. You all have graciously and generously supported us by providing us funds to help with the meat. All of the staff bring side dishes and items. Our Farmville Police Department provides drinks, and it's just a great day that we want to invite you all to. It's Friday, August 23rd at 11:30 to 1 at Farmville Central High School, and I'll send out an email to let all of you know that. But we would really love your support again this year. And I just said everything, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. I want to thank everybody in the community. Everybody's came by and visited and been very welcoming since I moved into this position. I was 3.5 years before at Bethel School, a good small community, the very north of the county. And during that time, we were able to get out and low performing and raise student achievement, and build a lot of good relationships with the community and with the students. So I thank you all for this opportunity and working with you and a lot of different commissioners have reached out and communicated already, and the police force and everybody, the 4th of July, and everything was good. Commissioner Moore and everybody's reached out, so thank you for being so welcoming. Thank you.
And you don't have to answer this, but I see you got your house for sale.
Yes, sir. You are observant.
Do you,
I like where you're going, Mayor. That's why I like you. You're direct.
Yeah. Okay,
He's got a terrible realtor and hadn't been able to sell it yet, though. So future is unknown.
all right. Do you all have a number?
I think in the past we've done 400.
All right.
I'll see your 400 and raise you 100. Make it 5.
More hot dogs.
Well, you can get a hot dog donated.
Right.
I don't want to use all my resources yet. I hit everybody up later.
Got to spread the love.
That's
Mayor, I'd
right.
like to make that 5 because I'm a little more comfortable with that. In fact, I heard somebody background Hall of 5, so it's an election year, so there you go. I'd like to make it 5, please.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a motion. We raise it to $500.
All right. You heard a motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of this motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. You got more than you bargained for.
Thank you. Love it.
Thanks.
Just to give you a state of the union of our campuses, both of our campuses are undergoing major construction. We're getting secure corridors. I only have it on one side of the building right now. Mr. Miller has it in his office. So they keep telling us it's going to be ready, but we are going to have some parent adjustment period because when they walk into the building, anyone who visits, there will be a window that they have to slide their ID through to get into the building. We're going to make it just as friendly as we can and still try to keep that welcoming feel, but also keep our campuses safe. They keep assuring us it's going to be done in time. We just commiserated together, so we're praying. So, thank you all very much. We appreciate your support.
Thank you all for what you do.
Welcome to home, Jeremiah. Okay. Next is item number 7, and that's award of a basin contract, and here's Rich Moore.
Good evening. And what we got, this is kind of a project kind of started probably about, a couple years ago, really, supported by the board. This was to invest in replacement of aged infrastructure in the South Farmville area through action of the town. Y'all were awarded a $2.6 million grant from the Division of Water Infrastructure to replace sewer lines, what we refer to as Basin 5, which is confined to South Farmville. The scoping of this particular project includes George Street, Walnut Street, Wallace Street, Hines Street, Perry Street, Vine Street, and Pittman Alley. Based on the awarded funds, we moved forward. We've got the design done and bid the project. We've received bids on July 16th. The low bidder was Ralph Hodge Construction Company, who submitted a low bid of $1,669,755.50. We did have 3 bidders, which are summarized in your agenda package. Based on that low bid submitted by Ralph Hodge, which was well within our projected costs, we are within budget, and for your review and consideration, we are asking for a resolution that will amend your project budget ordinance and award construction to Ralph Hodge Construction Company for his low bid price. The resolution is stated as providing a tentative award, and that is because that being funded by the state does require that award documents be provided to them so they can provide concurrence, which is needed before they will allow formal issuance of a notice to proceed to start construction. And I did want to point out that the resolution that's included as a part of the budget that is included as a part of the resolution of award must reflect the low bid and places a restriction on contingency at 5% on what that low bid is. So the budget you've got shows a $291,000, $928.73 reduction in grant funds, and that's a specific product of those bids coming in so low. But we coordinated with the state just to make sure that this full $2.6 million was allocated to the town, and they did confirm that we had to follow the rules, but that those funds were earmarked for the town. So a footnote has been added to that budget that does note that the town has authorization to spend that full amount. based on eligibility of costs that the state would have to concur with. We know this one's been a long time coming. We've got a contractor that's familiar with Farmville. He did the sewer line from Greenfield Heights to Little Contention Creek, and he also did the water line along 264 alternate. So he's ready to go to work. And so the positive is we're going to be in a position where we're going to make some substantial improvements to the infrastructure in South Farmville. The negative is that for some temporary amount of time, there's going to be a lot of streets tore up in South Farmville, but they're going to be fixed back to new. So that's going to be a sign of progress. So we appreciate the patience of the community, but we're going to get there and we're going to get those sewer lines fixed and make a difference over there.
What difference is it going to make?
We know that based on the condition of those existing sewer lines, a lot of those streets are settling because of the failure of those sewer lines. There have been several collapses that have occurred over there. One specific on Walnut Street that was a catastrophe almost. These are old vitrified clay pipes that are, some of them date back to the 40s. These will replace all of those silent lines with brand new PVC ductile iron pipes. It'll stabilize those roads. It'll eliminate a lot of those cross connections where we've got drainage problems and other things. And this will give us an opportunity to really correct all of those improvements in those streets over there.
Okay. And this was an initiative that was presented by this board.
That is correct.
This board was the one that got behind making that
This board absolutely not only supported it, but pushed for it. And without this board's support, that $2.6 million would not have been allocated to the town.
How soon will they start work?
The contractor would like to start next week.
Soon enough.
I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a motion if you guarantee me he's next week.
He will start, he wants to, the contractor is currently working over in the town of Fountain. He does not want to move to another location. And even though he might not have his contracts executed, he wants to take the burden on himself to come over here and start cutting the streets and prepping for construction. So he's asked if he could come work next week.
I'd like to make that motion, but I would like to make a comment before I do, if it's agreeable with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Sure.
Bullet answers, please.
Yes, sir.
From the time we said we want to do this to the time, this is a slow-moving process, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, it does take time to get it done. The second thing is, one of the things that I'd like to do for my friend Bobby Joyner and my friend John Spruill, when they stood here tonight and talked about some valid points, it's hard to forget that this board is working to do things unless we keep the information flowing.
Right.
And we can't put it out there one time and expect everybody to remember it.
Right.
It has to be a constant flow of information. We do not have a public information officer, which we probably will one day, but we've got to keep the information coming, because we don't, it derails and it makes it look like you haven't done anything, and then the next thing you pop up here and all of a sudden you're looking at a $1.7 million project.
Right.
And they're going, where did that come from? Well, I promise you this, it didn't happen after lunch today.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would ask that McDavid, since you're going to be the engineer on this, is that you keep folks informed. Let them know what's going on. With all the technology we got now, it's easy to do. If you want to know what's going on in Farmville, go to Aiden, because they can tell you. That's what I'm saying. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution amending the capital project budget ordinance and awarding construction contract.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is just a curiosity question. Did you have any minority firms bidding for this contract, or is either one of the three a minority firm?
None of the three that bid are minority firms. Now, we were required by law to do direct solicitation to minority business contractors, and that's a provision of the state. Right. So, we made two efforts on behalf of the town. One was that we advertised in three newspapers that have sole publication along minority contractors and subcontractors. And then we did direct solicitation to all identified minority business contractors that specialize in this utility, work. Right. In addition to that, we place a requirement on any bidder that he must document that he is meeting good faith efforts to employ at least 10% of his workforce as minority business contractors or subcontractors. So part of the submittals that you will get during the process is that he will have specific subcontractors that are minority businesses that'll be doing work.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yes, ma'am. And that's, yeah, my apologies for not
Thank you.
stating that.
Thank you for that.
We have a motion. Is one motion?
Yes, sir. It's one
sufficient?
resolution.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or discussion?
I have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Once the project starts, how long are we looking at for completion? Like
We're probably going to look at
months?
4 months, 4 to 5 months probably.
Okay. So we're going into next fall or whatever. finish
Yeah, well,
it
you know,
up.
we're probably going to get I'm going to say the biggest weight part of it is because we're going to start construction right as we're heading into the winter months.
Gotcha.
And one of
So
the
they
activities
have
they're going
a
to do
little
is
extra.
getting those streets back resurfaced. And so there'll be some patching, but asphalt availability might push us into the early part of next year.
Okay.
Based on Commissioner Elks' question, will there be a rollout communication to communicate that to citizens, knowing that there will be a disruption of 4 months?
Yes, and then we will go door to door along these streets to make sure that everybody is aware of mainly, especially the temporary inconvenience because of the traffic rerouting. And we'll coordinate with the police department and the fire department just to make sure that, there are no issues with, getting emergency vehicles in and out and no problems.
Okay. Any more comments? All right. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it. Thank you, Rich.
I appreciate it.
John?
Sir?
No, I'm talking about John sitting out there.
Hi, John.
See, you got quick action.
Yes, sir. That's a small portion of it.
Okay, well, it's a good start, eh?
That's a good start.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, John. Okay, that's takes care of item 7, 8, 9, 10. We
Thank you, Rich.
eliminated. And so that puts us at item 11, community center rentals.
In your packet is a current policy for the rental of the community center, and actually covers what types of activities can be in there, what you can't do, what you can do. That's our full policy. Wes Thomas presented this last meeting. He's actually on vacation this week, so I'm taking it over from him. The policy, as you see here, was amended just a few years ago, or totally rewritten actually. But one thing that we have found in administering the policy is that the old policy or the existing policy has different rates for renting one building versus, one room in the community center versus two. And also, if you want to add the kitchen, it's additional fee. In reality, it's hard to separate those two rooms, and most people rent both club rooms. There's basically one room that we were treating it as two. And so it is, and many people say they're not going to use the kitchen, and they end up using it, and we have to go back and try to track them down and everything. So we feel like it's just to simplify everything and to, reflect how people are using the building. It would be best to just bump the fee up slightly and allow people use of that side of that hallway, the two club rooms, which are basically still one room in the kitchen for one price. And so the policy, the only thing that's changing in this policy is what's highlighted in yellow under the rental fees. And so you still don't charge for town use or town sponsored use. Community service groups, which are defined in here, there's no charge. And then if you're a private group or business for use to a resident, it would be $150. And if you're a private business use, non-resident, you would pay $250. So that's the only change that recommend that you approve.
All right, anybody have any questions of Mr. Hodgkins. So it could cost some people up to $250, is that right?
But those are people who are using it for business purposes,
Okay.
for non-residents. That's the most expensive. Residents get a cheaper price.
All right. Board, anybody have any questions of Mr. Hodgkins? All right, is there a motion then that how we proceed on this?
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation for the Farmville Community Center, new regulations, new
Okay.
policies.
All right, you've heard the motion by Commissioner Hobbs that we approve this. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Ayes have it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that breaks us down to citizen citizen comments, and where we ask you to sign up before the meeting for the other comments. This one you can come and speak to this board about anything that went on here tonight. I know, John, you want to tell us how much you appreciate what we did.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Town Manager, Police Enforcement, I stand to comment on the behalf of the South Side when we had that tragedy storm in our community around H.B. Suggs Community Center. We had a tree to fall down. We were standing out, my son and I, and Holy Benoit, my favorite friends, came by to check on us. Commissioner Moore and Chief Green, they came by to see if we needed any help, which they know we needed help because the lights were out and I couldn't watch the Warrior game. And but the next day they were back home. I stand to commend our citizens, Commissioner Moore and Chief Green, for thinking a lot of Southside to come and check on us because we was in bad shape. It could have been worse than it was, but Heavenly knows that Lord was looking out for us. So I want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me this time, and I thank you for the new sewage that we're getting in the area, but we still need some more, some beautification and whatever, and get on the property owners that's got tenants in there with plastic wraps on top of the roof. I know it's got to be leaking in there, and I know it's a lot of places they could go, but they probably can't make the arrangements to move because they on low income. So thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Anyone else that wants to speak to us tonight? If not, Board, I'll look at you first. Alma, you have any comments you want to make?
No, I do not.
Commissioner Jack?
No comments.
I want to thank the Police Department, Parks and Rec, and the library for the movie on the Town Common on Saturday night. It was very pleasant out there. There was a nice little breeze blowing, and there was good company, and the kids thoroughly enjoyed the movie with the popcorn and the soft drinks, and it's a great community feel when you see all of that happening, because there were people sitting in blankets and chairs and actually everybody enjoying themselves. It was a very nice event, and I want to thank you all for making that happen.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Yes, sir, and I got a laundry list.
Hey, okay.
It's all accolades. For those of you that have called me concerned about 3 or 4 houses in Farmville that are in terrible shape with carpet in the front yard and so forth and so on, I wish Paul Ellis was here. That has been identified. Is Paul still here? Okay, that has been identified and the wheels are in motion, so rest assured that's been taken care of. The other thing of houses being left abandoned, that's being taken care of. Again, I want to thank Commissioner Dixon for taking the lead and working with the gas company and getting that easement. And I want to thank Brenda Epps for being our liaison. I'm sure you know this. Brenda was our liaison between the board and the schools last year. And she had a very active year. And Mayor and I were jumping up and down at graduation. I wish Mr. Johnson was here. The mayor and I were jumping up and down because there was close to $7 million, if I'm remembering that right, Mayor?
I think that's close, yeah.
That was how much was given this year, but the mayor and I were jumping up and down when it was how much, Mayor?
Well, the first time I got involved with it, it was 80,000.
Yes, sir. So we've come a long way in our school. Next thing I want to share with you is if I was going to read it from a text, but I'm a low-tech man in a high-tech world. Phil Lewis, it says that it looks like Red's TV's building will be coming down in the next few weeks, hopefully by Labor Day. And so that is a good thing. And it looks like that we are making a move on the houses that we were going to bring to Farmville. I also understand that there are some other movements going on that you folks will be hearing about. And I want to give a shout out to the folks that plan on being at the HB Suggs Association with the Downbeats and the singers, because I understand you have one of the best MCs on the planet coming in town for that. Is that right?
Who would that be?
Who you think? I won't go let you get out here. There you go. Thank you, Mayor. Thank y'all folks for being here tonight.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Boyle. Thank all of the commissioners, and we look like we may make it out in less than an hour. And so we appreciate, again, the opportunity for you to be here and keep up with what's going on. And if you don't see what's going on, let us know and ask us, and we'll tell you. All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, my Commissioner Shackford, that we adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.